Hey everybody, got another video here for you. Well, it looks like I'm hitting the truss rod on this upper hole. It might be deep enough for a 10 mil deep insert. I'll have to check. I was drilling these to 15, but the point of the bit is hitting something solid, so I'm going to assume that's the end of the truss rod it's hitting. So that's probably about all I'm going to have to work with unless I want to move the hole, which would kind of suck because the body's already drilled and that would show. I don't really want to put like plastic over the heel area because that would be higher friction. So I want to keep everything as slippery as possible. Slippery is faster, and slippery means faster. Lower friction equals playing faster, basically. I just measured it. I lucked out. It's just deep enough. This is clocking in at 10.45 millimeters deep, and the inserts are like 9.6 something in that range, a little under 10. So yeah, I got it with almost a millimeter to spare. Well, you know, a guitar like this probably wouldn't look bad in a natural either. What do you think? Should I sand back the headstock and clear coat it in natural? Sand it back to natural and then clear coat it, and then just clear coat this after sanding, and then the whole guitar would be natural with a rosewood fretboard. That would look pretty good too. Then the question is, what color hardware? Well, you've got silver, you've got black, you've got gold. Silver maybe? I suppose it would look okay with black too. Well, something to think about. You can always make another one, right? Another issue with doing it in a natural, like this one, if it's going to be like in a black, I can just take the satin black and squirt the pickup, the quad rail, and then I can even, what you do is you squirt it and then you can like basically almost rub off the paint from the top of the rails if you want silver rails, or you can leave it all blacked out. And yeah, so that would be the way to match black finish on this guitar with the pickup. But gold and silver are a bit more problematic for doing a humbucker, trying to find something that would look good in a paint on the pickup. Speaking of painting things, if you recall on guitar number 9, which was in the previous episode, the Crack Lightning, this gold, the gilded picture frame gold, that's not compatible with the clear coat that I used. Yeah, it ran a little bit, just a little. But this stuff just came in. This has been here for a while. This is the clear enamel. Good old-fashioned Rust-Oleum that you stick on your lawn furniture, but it's clear instead of red or green or blue or whatever. And this is the silver that's compatible with it and the gold. So yeah, now I can do the Crack Lightning with a clear coat, all executed in enamels that won't run. So maybe I should do it for this one or something, because I could do the black and then either of these or both of these over top of that, and then hit it with this stuff, and nothing would run because it's all enamels. Gotta tell you though, man, I'm really liking this natural. Maybe a natural with black hardware? I mean, it wouldn't be that bad. All I have to do is sand this guy off, and then clear coat it. And to clear coat it, I could just do the wipe on poly. And, that would be the easiest way. I could control overspray that way and things like that. And it would leave a great finish. And yeah, I could just do that. I could reproduce this level of gloss with no problem. This level of gloss and smoothness. So, and then I could use the wipe on poly everywhere else except on the back of the heel, because poly has a higher coefficient of friction than lacquer does. So, I could poly everything and mask this off, or just not, since it's wipe on, just put a piece of tape and do it that way, and then mask off all the poly and squirt this with lacquer, or vice versa. Mask it off and squirt this with lacquer, and then put poly on the rest. That's a possibility too. I'm really liking the idea of doing this in natural though. I mean, I can always do another one in black. That's easy. So what do I do about the pickup color? So this is the pickup. Let's see what we got here. This is yet another quad rail. I think it's probably the last one I have on hand, actually. That isn't like, earmarked for the X15 or something. Can somebody explain to me why they have this obsessive compulsive thing of putting everything in like tons of Ziplocs? Especially the little baby ones that you can't get your fingers on to open up. Look at this thing. 3 Ziplocs. Guess I want to make sure it's safe, huh? 4 Ziplocs. Okay, I'm not messing with this stuff. This is the kind you just tear open. And then a Ziploc for your hardware. 5 Ziplocs and some foam and some tape. Yeah, talk about wrap rage, right? And finally, there's our pickup. What's it look like? It's black, it's pretty. Yeah, I guess it could go with black hardware. It's got a little brass going on too. Yeah, maybe that in a natural, man. That could look good. Where's that guitar? Give me that guitar. All right, so, yeah. Here, wait, hold on. I'll be right back. Let me lay it out. Yeah, it might not look bad in a natural. I mean, imagine it's got a depth pick guard going across here. And then the jack, I can paint that black. Or at least the outside, not the inside, obviously. On the switch here, I'm not so sure I could get this to take paint and not flake off, especially with use, so maybe leave that silver. It's too bad they don't make like black and gold ones. Maybe they do. Leave a comment. There you go. And then you have to imagine the headstock in a natural finish, and then all black hardware. There's the tuners right there. So, and lock nuts on the way with a retainer bar if needed. It won't get it unless it needs it. And there's the truss rod cover. I dug one up, but I also have another one similar to this on the way. And the only other part that I'm waiting on is one more, wherever they are, here they are. One more threaded insert. I've got 3, or I had 3, and so I ordered up another sack full. Unfortunately, they didn't have a sack full in black, and so I had to get the not black ones, zinc or whatever. And these guys actually, these came out of one of those like assortments, but these are the last 3 in there. And I don't know if they were used on a previous build or just been sitting around a long time or what, but they actually had a little surface rust. So I went ahead and you saw I squirted them. I sanded them down first a little bit, make sure you get a nice clean finish on them. So yeah, they turned out pretty good. So I got 3 of these guys ready to go, and I think the sack of another, I don't know, 50 or something like that is coming in tomorrow. But yeah, I'm thinking a natural, man. Shows the beauty of the wood. And this is some pretty pine too. This is Select New Zealand pine. Yeah, I never told you what the bodywood was. It's Select New Zealand pine, and this stuff is like, oh my god, it's dense and heavy. It reminds me of the flame maple planks that I had like this that I used on a couple builds probably a year ago now. But it's just ever so slightly softer. It's not quite as hard as the flame maple was. But other than that, it's dense, and it's, I mean, you saw me going at it with the jigsaw. The stuff is not that soft. You know, it'll have its soft places, but in general, it's not that soft. It's surprisingly tough for pine. So yeah, I'm really pleased, and I got my hands on I don't know, 48 board foot of the stuff in a 6-inch wide, and then I got some more in a 12. So, but anyway, yeah, I'm thinking natural. I might go natural. Right now, what I need to do, what I'm supposed to be doing, is gluing in these neck inserts so I can bolt the body on and then trace out the heel so that I can get a good match between the shape of the heel here and the shape of the heel here. And then I gotta do some more shaping. And then I think it's ready to sand because everything's been drilled. So yeah, once I do that heel portion, then it's off to sanding. And if I'm going to do a clear, then the body gets sanded and the headstock gets sanded, and that'll take a while. Go through some 60 grit for sure. and smell. But yeah, so I'll have to sand that back. I don't really have to sand it back super thorough because I'm not trying to dye it again, which means I'd have to really sand the heck out of this thing in order to get through the sealer and everything so that it would take dye again uniformly. But all I got to do is just sand it back to the point where it's a uniform shade of clear, or yeah, of wood, and that should do the trick. And then I can just, hit it with some sort of clear coat, and that should be all it takes. And then hit this with, I guess probably the easiest thing to do is just hit the whole thing with lacquer. Might be just the way, yeah. Just sand it down, just mask off the sides and the back of the headstock, squirt the front with lacquer, squirt the body with lacquer, call it a day. Yeah, I think that's going to be the battle plan. Don't change your plan. That's the new battle plan. Hey man, just because it's a stock neck doesn't mean you can't make a nice guitar out of it. So, checking out the bolt length here. First, the fit here is pretty nice. I got lucky, I guess. Yeah, they're both sticking out 15 millimeters. So, that's what I had the tape on the drill bit set to when I was drilling these guys. This guy went 15, this guy went, 10.47 or something like that. So that one's going to require a shorter bolt. These are 35 millimeter, unless I get into the grinder. Fortunately, I believe it was the barrel tuner build. It needed like 28s or something, and so I ground a pair down, and then proceeded to lose them, and had to make another pair. And later on, towards the end of the build or something like that, I found the original pair. So they're sitting around here, and I'm gonna dig them up and see if one of those is going to be short enough and save me some grinding time. So these are the screws. We're clocking it at 26.8 and 27.6 hand ground, so it's not, CNC precision. The 27.6 being longer and closer to 30, I got about 30 to work with. Remember, it's the shallow hole. So, yeah, this should work just fine. They do not look all that great on the top, so I think I'm going to give this one a little 320 loving and a squirt the way I did these. Now, I want the finishes on these two neck screws to match. So this one is not identical, it's actually a flat finish, and I just squirted that other thing with gloss finish. And you saw how the neck inserts came out, and so yeah, in order to ensure a matching finish on the two screws, I'm going to need to squirt this one as well. It doesn't really need to be sanded, but yeah, just hit it with a top coat of a matching top coat, and everything should be good. With little tips like that matching top coat thing, it occurred to me that I've taken a lot of shop, including like body shop, automotive paint, and all that kind of stuff too. Yeah, and I've done okay. Yeah, I've done shop. I've taken engineering college, and I've also done independent study with the automotive body shop and paint and all that kind of stuff being an example of the kind of independent study I'm into. And I learned from a pro. And and I thought it might be good for me to start in these videos to pass on what I know, because I've learned a lot of stuff from a lot of stuff. So yeah, yeah, that's an example there. This thing, it doesn't really need to be sanded. The problem is that it's going to make these, well, it might make these videos more interesting and useful. It's also going to make them a whole lot longer if I start, being like Commander Data on Star Trek and just spewing forth everything I've got in the database on whatever the subject at hand is. Like right now, it's refinishing stuff and top coats. So yeah, on this one, it's a flat, and I want to go to something more gloss that's going to match the other one. It doesn't need a whole lot of sanding. It should get good adhesion, so I'm just going to squirt it. I'm going to shut up now. Okay, so it's time for the drying cam, and I'm going to go with 30 minutes in order to make sure that this stuff has got a good chance to dry up, because I'm going to be hitting it up with the Allen wrench, and I don't want to mess up the paint job. Especially because, like on these things, you get down in there and you can mess up the stuff down in there, and then it doesn't look right when, your user is checking your work out up close and personal kind of a thing. So at least 30 minutes, it's fast drying cheap paint. Otherwise, I'd go at least an hour. If I was going Rust-Oleum, I'd go a day, and that actually might be the best kind of paint to use. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go 30 minutes, and so I think I'm gonna go play some video games while I wait. And let me think. If I time lapse this and let you actually time lapse watch paint dry, it would still take 7.5 minutes of footage, and I'm not going to put you through that. So you get to see me start it, and I'll see you on the other side. So, I haven't actually used this yet for what I originally bought it for, which was for shaping, reshaping, reprofiling, recarving necks. And I've been trying it on a few other things, but for small stuff like this, I'm really thinking that it's a little bit too much. And I'm gonna step back down to a Shinto rasp, I think. Yeah, right size tool for the job. This is basically a custom carved heel. So, yeah, I think a little hand tool time is called for. You know what it looks like when somebody uses one of these things, so I'm not going to film the whole process. Just kind of like get the coarse side, follow lines, and try to get it rounded out to match the heel. And just kind of round everything over and smooth it. And it'll give you a pretty good fit. It's not as precise as bolting it together and filing, shaping it all as one piece. But then again, I'm not trying to reshape that heel, so. But if you do it as two pieces, shaping the heel and then shaping the body, heel of the neck and then the heel joint area on the body, you'll get a smooth enough joint that the player will never really notice it. The whole bolting it together and shaping it as one piece is more cosmetic than anything. So I've got my lines here that tell me more or less where I want to be, and I just, continue shaping until I've got something nice going on. This is still a little bit wide on the back side right there, but other than that, the front side's about ready to match. And just slap the heel on a couple times, make sure it's a pretty good match, and then once you round everything and sand everything, it'll be fine. So here's the detail on carving the heel. It's an awful lot like carving the triangle part on one of the thin necks. Start out, you saw I had my curve on my line originally. Went ahead and shaped that curve, and then I figured out how wide I wanted to be down here and struck two lines and started carving away to those lines. And now that I have those two lines defined, all I need to do is join this edge with this edge with just a, so that this is basically flat all along here instead of bulging. And do the same on the other side, and then just probably what I'll do is make it so that this distance here that's not carved, that's flat, carries around like this, and I'll just match the slopes, and that's all there is to it. And all told, from the time that I picked up the first file, after I finished using a little saw to cut off the corners, to the time this is going to be done, maybe an hour. And there it is, all shaped. Pretty basic shape to it. It's got a nice handshake to it though, so it'll work just fine. It'll be more rounded once everything gets sanded, so. Okay, I've been thinking about exactly what I want to do next in order to get this thing ready to go before I clear coat it. like specifically whether I should route the channels for the electronics yet or not. And I think what I'm going to do, and I'm going to, I think, okay, this is what I figured out. I'm going to not route the electronics channels yet, because I don't want clear coat to clog them all up. They're not going to be real big necessarily. And also, I'm going to wait until I get everything on to precisely set the pickup and the bridge, and that'll determine exactly where the holes for these wires go, which will determine where the channel needs to go. But I'm going to clear coat the whole thing after sanding, and it looks like from about here to about here is going to require a cover panel or two, but the rest of it would be exposed. It's not really practical to try to get cover panel to match this little bit unless you want to edge route the whole thing. So that would be exposed. The heel's going to be exposed. You don't want that bumpy textured stuff back here where you're trying to, you want everything nice and smooth. So there's going to be exposed areas on the back, so I figured I might as well clear coat the entire thing, even though the vast majority of the back's going to be covered by the back plate. And it also is another thing that just occurred to me. It was when I was looking at the back of the guitar that it struck me that it would look good in a natural, but I didn't picture it with the back plate on, which is going to cover up almost half of the wood. So, yeah. I mean, once you take all the wood on the back of the body, plus you add all the wood on the back of the neck and the headstock, and then you cover up most of the body with the cover plate, only about half of the amount of total wood on the back, visible on the back of the guitar, is still going to be there, visible. So, yeah, I have to see what it looks like, I guess. I could always order up some veneer or something maybe instead. But yeah, so as far as like the sanding process, I'm not actually going to film it. I'm just going to like describe the strategy, I guess you'd say. I'm going to start with some 60, do the whole thing in 60, even though this is finer than 60 already. And then I think I'll raise the grain with some water, and then do it in 320 and see what I got. But I'm going to start by doing it with 60 and see what I got. But I'm planning to, after that, to raise the grain and hit it with 320. And I don't know if it would need anything after 320 or not. So you'll notice here that at the end, I didn't actually bring this to a sharp point. I did that for a couple reasons. First reason being that much thinner than this, and it'd have a tendency to snap right off. And the second reason being, this gives me enough room that I can like round everything over nicely and not have any sharp or pointy edges that that the lacquer would not. It doesn't build as well on an edge as it does on a face. And so your edges are thin. The coating of the lacquer on the edges will tend to be thin on sharp edges. And then when you go and start sanding, it's very easy to cut through. So you try to avoid sharp, pointy edges and lacquer so that you don't get that issue. And that's part of the reason why I didn't make this pointy. And the other one was, little spindly thin bits of wood at the end of a guitar is just asking for trouble. Okay, it's all sanded and nice and smooth. Looks really good. Quite pleased. Yeah, I figured that once I got to the sanding, it would get rid of some of the blockiness. Can't think of the right term. The sharp angles here at the shoulders here. And yeah, it cleaned up okay. So yeah, I'm pleased. I'm pleased. Now I'm gonna spray it with some water and raise the grain. Okay, I think that's going to do it for this video. So until the next one, everybody, have a good one.